Hello and welcome back to the Coping Cafe. I'm Dr. Joe.
I'm Dr. Michelle.
So this is the last in our series of getting special accommodations for children. So we've talked about the population, the kinds of kids that might need to access special services at school. We talked about the difference between an IEP and a 504. And now Dr. Michelle is going to walk us through the 6 steps of getting us there.
So I actually even wrote a note card so I wouldn't forget to tell you guys anything. So could be a little formal this time. Okay. So, one of the things that people don't understand is that if you first notice something, it's the parent's duty and it's the burden of proof falls on the parents if the school doesn't notice.
Okay.
So the burden of proof falls on a parent. So if you notice something's going on with your child, it is your duty then to record it, keep track of it, talk to your teacher, start to document things. Because one of the things that, there's 30 kids in a class and your child might not.
They might fly under the radar.
Right, they might fall, what you see may not be what everyone else is seeing. So again, and they might not notice it, right? More subtle things that go on with a child, you'll see it. But if your child's not a behavioral problem, sometimes it's not on the radar. So I think it's really important to document, and keep that idea of the burden of proof. The next part is, schedule a meeting with your teacher. Say, hey, I have some concerns. I'd really like to talk to you about them. Get your teacher involved. You obviously want to build a rapport. And I say this to parents, please be soft with your teachers. Teachers want to help. The staff want to help, but so often people go in and start demanding things instead of saying, I'm having trouble, can you help me with this? Versus
you need to do you approach it.
It's the way you, because if there is something wrong and they need to help you, you need them as a team member.
Yes.
You don't want this like really
contentious
tough,
kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And so I say a softer approach, right? So go in, build the rapport, sort of understand the struggles, the development, see what the teacher sees, and again, sometimes when you mention it, all of a sudden someone goes, I did notice this. And so it's really good to get them involved early on. The next part is, if the teacher and you start to go, there's some difficulty with attention, or I think there's maybe some depression or anxiety, or there might be something in math or reading or something. The next part is get a diagnosis, right? So if there's a mental health concern, and they need to say, hey, Dr. Joe, we think my daughter or son has anxiety, you need to document that, right? So you need to get evidence showing that. If you're worried about if there is, say, a math disability, reading problems, dyslexia, anything like that, then getting the, getting to
maybe a neuropsych
psychologist, someone like myself or something like that, to get that evaluation, get an outside evaluation, get a fresh look, get a pair of eyes on your child, because I think that's the next step. And then the fourth thing you're going to do is as soon as you have gathered evidence, you've talked and built a rapport with your teacher, you've started to document everything, then you have a diagnosis, you have that. Now you're going to go to the school. So requesting eligibility, and the last time we talked about what is a 504 and an IEP, you want to request services for your child. And with that, right, sometimes that comes a doctor's note, the evaluation, and all your evidence. And generally you attach that in an email, right? And you request a meeting for eligibility, okay? So that's your next step. The next one is, we want to evaluate everything. Generally, if everything aligns, you have the diagnosis, you have the evidence, the teacher backs you, you have the support, there's generally a meeting to talk about eligibility, right? So that fifth thing is really talking about, does your child need a 504? Does your child need something more? Do we need to provide multiple services for this child? And so they need to be pulled out of class, given those services, and therefore we're going to give you an IEP. Or does a 504, should we start there and then see if we need that more later? Okay, so those are really your starting points. But finally, I say one last thing is the sixth thing is that sometimes parents are denied, right? So you have the right to basically gather more evidence and appeal it. Or you could sit down with them and say, okay, I'm not satisfied with that you say that my child's not eligible, but what can we do in a less formal plan?
So what's an alternative if you're not able to give me this?
What can we do? What, because I see this as something that could really impact him or her going forward. How would we handle that? So again, there's the informal approach as well. It's just seeking services in an informal manner. So those would be my steps, working really with the school. And that's, I think, very important, is that you never want to just, kind of try to push things through. You want to work as a team, okay? And again, I think if you take all of those steps, I think you're going to be in a really good place. And there's lots of information on great 504s and IEPs out there. And there's also advocacy groups to help you. So, there's a lot of resources outlined. If you just want to Google that, you'll find them.
Yeah, and to get that support. So thank you so much for joining us on the Coping Cafe. Until next time, I am Dr. Jo.
I'm Dr. Michelle, and have a great day.